We are doing very well with, I think, almost all of the governors. For the most part, it really has become something. We're dealing almost every day. We're speaking to each other, whether it's conference calls. Usually we'll have 50 governors on the call at the same time. No, I think we're doing very well. But, you know, it's a two-way street. They have to treat us well also. They can't say, oh, gee, we should get this, we should get that.
President Trump on his relationship with the nation's governors, many of whom are pleading for help.
And I got to just tell you right off the top there that when the President of the United States is saying that Governor Cuomo shouldn't be asked, and I'm sure Republicans and Democrats alike, especially, that are watching this and understand the humanitarian crisis, unparalleled health crisis coming to New York City. When they hear the governor of that state begging for help for their residents, this is a war. And again, more people could die from this than had died in every war combined, according to a study that the White House was at least very concerned about last week. And this is like a general under fire, knowing that the enemy is approaching from all sides and begging for help for the sake of American people, for the sake of seniors. And the president's, again, in that moment there seemed dismissive, almost contemptuous of that. And Mika, make no mistake, we're going to show some charts from Johns Hopkins and Financial Times that show the crisis coming to America it's going to be an unprecedented healthcare crisis, and it's going to look much worse than China, much worse than Italy, much worse than Spain, much worse than France. We are going to be at the epicenter of this, and I hope you're enjoying going around saying that there's nothing to this, because we're going to show you. This is just data. These are facts. These are trend lines. This is like a hurricane that's coming on shore. And that hurricane keeps getting closer and closer and closer. And being a Floridian, I'm very aware of people who mocked the warnings and ended up dead. You see Hurricane Katrina, remember those school buses in Hurricane Katrina that were in the parking lot where people could have been evacuated? And afterwards you're saying, why didn't they evacuate? They had all those school buses. Republicans were saying this especially. Well, the school buses are still in the parking lot. You have a president who has been saying the hurricane wasn't coming. Hurricane's not coming. The press scaring you about the hurricane coming. It's all a hoax. Had all of his people in media saying it was just a hoax. Friends, let me tell you something. You can't negotiate with a hurricane. I'm from Florida. I know that. You can't negotiate with a pandemic. And while India and Great Britain and the rest of the world see this hurricane coming, and they're shutting it down.
They're locking it down.
And you know, they're locking it down because they saw what happened in Italy, politicians mocking this coming storm. And now they're seeing people on the floor in the hallways of hospitals gasping for breath as they lie there dying alone. And that's moved from Italy to Spain. And friends, as much as I hate to say this, it's coming to the United States. The hurricane is coming. You know the press conference yesterday where the president was talking about we're going to have everything lifted by Easter? No. I mean, I'm glad people in the markets liked it. I'm glad the markets went up. That's really great for your 401ks. It's great for the companies. It's fantastic. That's not going to happen. It's not going to be lifted by April. It's just not. It's not going to be lifted by Easter, because we're going to be looking at scenes out of New York City hospitals, healthcare officials tell me, that are going to look as horrid as what happened in Italy. I talked to healthcare officials that ran statewide health systems outside of New York. And they all agreed New York is going to look like Italy if this president doesn't recognize that there's a storm offshore, doesn't recognize, like India's leaders and Great Britain's leaders and the rest of the world's leaders, that storm is coming. It's not a hoax. It's not one person from China, like he said at the beginning of this crisis. It's not 15 people who have it, and pretty soon that number is going to be down to 0. Show you the trend lines that show we're soon to be the most infected country on the planet. And just because it's not infecting you now, just because it's not impacting your neighborhood now, what you did 3 weeks ago is going to impact you. What you're doing today is going to impact you and your family and your community and your city 3 weeks from now. So the storm is coming. Mr. President, please, for the sake of senior citizens from Florida to Arizona, across America, in New York City, for the sake of people struggling even now in New York City, our doctors and our nurses on the front lines, Mr. President, please recognize that storm is coming and stop telling people they're going to go out on their sailboats on Easter Day with a Category 5 hurricane roaring on shore.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.